Hi everyone, and welcome to this course on web scraping using Python. Web scraping as a concept is very straightforward. It refers to the process of collecting and parsing any raw data that is available on a website. So we want to collect and parse raw data. Let us look at what that means. So we have a website here, which is the CRET website. And on the website, we can see a number of things. There are some ads, images, titles, and so on and so forth. Now, a website is nothing but an HTML script that is running in the background and that is being displayed to the user on the browser. What that means is that if we right click anywhere on the web page and click on inspect, this will help us understand the HTML code that is running in the background. Now, we don't really need to understand this 100%, but there are certain elements here that you should pay a little bit of attention to. For example, if I select this part which says top stories and I right click and inspect it, you would notice we can get top stories written here. So let me open it once again. So do you see this top stories that has been written? If we double click and change it to, let's say, hello world, you would notice that what we see on the website is also changing right here. What this means is that a website is nothing but this code that is running in the background. And then the browser is not doing anything else but simply showing us the code in a format which has some images and clickable links in it. For example, if you look at this text that says, here's how to choose the best iPad tablet for your needs, and I do a Control F and I search for this, so if you look at this part, here's how to choose the best iPad tablet for your needs. You will notice we have an href tag mentioned here. And what you see here is the link which will open when we click on this text. Now, every browser works the same way, whether you're working on Opera, Mozilla, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Bing, Edge. On any browser that you're working on, you will be able to right click on inspect, and then see the code that is running in the background. Now the code uses three things. We have HTML, that is the script in which the entire page has been built. Then for all the styling, we use something called CSS, which is cascading style sheets. So we have HTML, which is the markup language. And then we have CSS, which is cascading style sheets. So it is a markup language like HTML, but the difference is it helps you make your websites more dynamic. And then finally, we have JavaScript. Now, JavaScript is not the same as core Java. JavaScript is just a compiled language that allows us to make elements in the form dynamic. For example, if you're looking at a website that has a form in it where I put my user ID and password, now that can be displayed using HTML and CSS, but the conditional logic and the checks and balances can only come via JavaScript, right? So these three are the cornerstones of any website that you're creating: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, so what we're going to do in this course is we will see how to collect these HTML tags that are available on the website and how to parse it. Parse simply means that you're taking the raw data, and from the raw data, you're deriving meaningful datasets from it. Now, in this tutorial, we will be covering three things. So we have how to parse data using string methods, and we will also be using something called regular expressions, which is also called regex. Then we will look at the HTML parser, and then we will also look at how we can interact with different forms that are available on the website. Now, before we continue with an example, you have to understand that scraping is an automated process, but this is a little bit of a gray area, which means that what you can scrape from a website and how frequently can you scrape something from a website. These are certain fundamentals that you have to keep in mind. Now, let's look at two use cases, or rather, let's look at two instances. Now, there is a possibility that a website might want to protect its own data. For example, if you're working with Google Maps, you cannot make many requests in a short span of time, right? And then also you have to understand that every time there is a repeated request, the website's server may use up the bandwidth, which will slow the website for everybody else, right? So may slow the website by using the bandwidth. Let's do a simple example. Now we're using the standard Python library called URL lib. Remember, this is a standard library, so you don't have to install it separately. So what we want to do is to write from URL lib dot request, we want to import URL open. And then the URL that we want is, the URL is equal to http colon, we have Olympus real python.org profiles and Aphrodite. So this is one of the Greek goddesses. So we copy this URL and I will paste it here so that you can see what is there on the website. So we have a simple web page that has been created, which has the name as Aphrodite. We have the favorite animal as dove, favorite color is red, and the hometown is Mount Olympus. And we also have an image here. If we right click and inspect the page, let me expand everything here. You can see that these are all the tags that we have. So we have HTML and HTML, that's the opening and the closing tag. Then we have the head, which has the profile Aphrodite in it. Then we have the background color, which is the BG color is yellow. The BR is simply a break. Then we have a static image that we are using here. H2 is one of the header tags. And then we have some more breaks here. And the center basically says that all this text is going to come in the center of the page. So favorite animal, favorite color, and the hometown. So what we want to do now is to go back and write that the page is equal to URL open, and then select the URL that we have just mentioned. And finally, we will write page. So when we run this, it gives us a message like this, and this is exactly what we wanted, remember? So what is happening here is that this is the HTTP response object that we are getting. So this is confirming that everything so far is working properly. But now we want to extract the HTML from the page, right? And this will return us a sequence of bytes which we can decode. So this would be HTML bytes is equal to page dot read, and then HTML is equal to HTML bytes dot decode, and the format that we're using is the UTF-8 format. So I won't get into details right now, but if you're interested to read a little bit about the UTF format, you can simply Google it. And there are other types of encoding formats available as well, but this is one of the standards that we follow. This is called the Unicode standard. All right. So then we will print HTML. And when we run this, you notice that the entire HTML from this page, so this entire part here has been copied, or rather extracted from the website, and we can see it here, right from the first HTML tag till the last HTML tag. Excellent. So now that we have the HTML in a text format, we can extract the information that we want. And there are a few different methods that we can use here. We will do this in the next lecture.